Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask Angela to do a roll call for the quorum purpose.
Thank you, Tom. Abadili.
Present.
DeMello.
Present.
Hearn.
Present.
Awesome. Kashulik.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Sampu.
Present.
Tangney present. Staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
And Administrator Ed Hoops is arriving to the Zoom late. We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Acting under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and Law Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2026, at 6:30 p.m. for the applications of Jack and Betty Ann Snyder, Bridget Ressis, Ren J. Gattelli, Town of Barnstable Department of Public Works, Michael D. and Carrie H. Heiser, Rebecca Addison Maderos, Anthony Elio, trustees, Cotata Sets Realty Trust, Stephen and Bernice Tansinger. This hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. The plans and applications are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to @hoops@230 South Street, Hyannis. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this hearing. Hearing none. Tonight's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisements. Please send your check to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participation. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed by the governor on March 28, 2025, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1. The hearing will be televised via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. 2. The real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing Zoom link 820-4673-6083 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. Third, the public can also email their comments to edwin.hoops@barnstable.gov at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. We have a fairly long agenda tonight. Please limit your comment to our jurisdictions from the State Wetland Protection Act and the local ordinances and regulations. Tonight we have 2 RDAs. The first one is Jack and Betty Ann Snyder to demolish the existing single-family dwelling and construct a new dwelling with all associated appurtenances at 127 Short Beach Road, Centerville, as shown on Assessors Map 206, Parcel 046. John?
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting, representing the applicants. This is a flood zone only project. I will bring up the plan for you quickly. This is at 127 Short Beach, so this is on the interior of the Short Beach Circle, not a waterfront parcel. As I said, this is flood zone only. They're looking to demolish the existing house and build a new house. The new house will be no more footprint than the existing and will be no more floor area than the existing. It will be raised up to meet the building code flood provision. So this will be a slab on grade with the living space elevated up above. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Question from the commissioner. Anyone?
Nope, very straightforward.
Yeah. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello. Rob?
Sorry. Aye.
That's okay. Hearn?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Koshulik?
Aye.
Sampu?
Aye.
And Tangney, that's aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, John.
Thank you, everybody.
The next Audi is Bridgeter Rances. Construction of a single-family dwelling and attached the garage with driveways, dry wells, and septic systems with associated fill at 111 Sandyville Avenue, Sandyville, as shown on the Assessors Map 226, Parcel 131. Dave? Can you unmute yourself, Dave?
I think I saw Dave Flaherty in the breakout room. He might be stuck there.
He's there trying to turn on his.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got, hi, Dave Flaherty for the applicant. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. I have on my computer, I have the shared screen, but it doesn't have a microphone or a camera. So I had to call in with my phone as well. But basically, the project is new construction in a flood zone, 3-bedroom house with dry wells and associated septic system. Some minor filling to for grading on the south and the east, a little bit on the north and the west, but and then a driveway as well. We show all the flood zones. And we're just right now working on a mitigation plan for the plantings. So we'll be glad to work with staff on that. So I guess if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Is this flood zone only?
Yeah, this
Yes,
is
sir.
only.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bill?
Yeah. It seems. I didn't visit the site, but it seemed pretty close to the Lake Elizabeth and Red Lily Pond, and it's kind of a wet area in there. How close is the wetland to that? Is it?
It's from what I saw on the locust map, it's at least 200 feet away.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, and we didn't find any wetlands anywhere near the locust. So
okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other question from the commissioner? See none. January 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili?
Aye.
DeMello?
Aye.
Hearn?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Koshulik?
Aye.
Sampu?
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's also unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck.
thank you for your time.
And then tonight we have 6 NOI. The first one is Renji Gatletti to construct a patio, deck, walkway, and rework an existing pathways to the water at 290s Starbuck Lane, Austinville, as shown on the Assessors Map 166, Parcel 050-002. Dan?
Yes, good evening, Chairman Lee, members of the commission. For the record, Dan Ojala, I'm a surveyor and land professional engineer with Downkeep Engineering in Yarmouth Port. We're helping Gulati's out with a pretty modest project, I think, with respect to your jurisdiction. We're on Bumps River just before it opens up into the embayment of Scudder Bay. So we've got a river that's the most landward resource area. It's barely next to proposed work. I'll share my screen so we can look at that.
Yes, please.
So here's the project. There's a licensed pier down on Bumps River. There's a thin salt marsh, and then it's right against a slope which runs up. There's a state and a local bank which we've delineated per the guidance. Whether it breaks at 25% or 18% is the difference between those two, as we know. The most landward is down in this southern area here, where it breaks a little bit closer to the house. But again, you can look at our hardscape calculations there. It's only an increase of 298 feet of hardscape within the riverfront area. That's mostly on the west side. Within your local jurisdiction, that's 50 and 100 feet to the coastal bank. You're looking at the 11 square foot is just a couple of steps just to help get up the slope. We'll just talk about that in a second. But then 53 square foot, so you multiply by 3 is 203 square foot of mitigation required. When you go into the Riverine Act of adding some hardscape even in the outer riparian, you do a 2-to-1. So that's 309 square foot times 2 is 618. So we're pulling up some lawn and putting in a nice buffer. You can see the plantings detailed here. The shrub sizes and spacing are per the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension for trees and shrubs in coastal environments. And the spacing is per them and selected for the site conditions, a little bit of shade. There's an existing walkway that was permitted or pathway that was permitted back with a license around the 90, I believe it was. The path could use a little bit of tender loving care, so we're going to add some sand to the path. We didn't want to put any hardscape because it's kind of punitive, but it's 17% or so. It's not particularly steep. So just a few landscape timbers to help hold the sand, and then a nice pervious packed sand, which should infiltrate well and keep any runoff from forming and rutting out. And then that leads down to the previously permitted walk that goes down to the pier. So just a little bit of walk in that natural area that's already disturbed, adding about 11 square foot, and up in the outer riparian, adding about 298 square foot in the very outer fringe. So we're coming in with 650 square foot of mitigation planting. So I think it's a win-win. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Dan, on the mitigation area, I did not see any demarcations. Am I right?
Yeah, we didn't propose any on this one, but if you'd like to condition that, or I could do a revised plan showing some granite markers along that, your choice.
I think I would wait for the revised plan. I mean, I would do the revised plan, waiting for that demarcation stuff on that plan. So, Bill?
Yeah, the mitigation for the project is basically all about the patio deck in the 50 to 100 foot buffer to the coastal bank and or the 100 to 200 foot zone of the riverfront area. And I'm good with that development and mitigation for it. However, I have some concern / heartburn over the 4-foot path being converted to stepping stones and sand, a 4-foot wide sand bed. I don't know that I've seen that before, and I wonder why not just have some stepping stones? Because when you end up having that sand, it's not going to filter the runoff per se, and it seems like an overdoing it. I would go with just the stepping stones and not have a 4-foot wide sand thing going all the way down a really steep hillside. Really, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I would prefer. Right now, it's just kind of dirt, and I know it's hard to see with the snow or whatever if anybody went out there, but the owners would just like to spiff it up a bit because it's just basically not completely satisfactory. We were thinking about stone dust or hardscape, but it's so punitive when you go into the 50, the multiplier, we lose half the lawn, so we didn't really know what to do with that. So our thought was just to have kind of a natural sand which would infiltrate and not run off was the best we could think of. That didn't produce hardscape. If we could get a waiver on that, we'd be glad to put in hardscape. But that was the rub on it.
I think on the pathway, the pathwise, even if it's 3 or 4 feet, typically we don't ask for mitigation for that because you need access to the water side.
Yeah.
So
Well, if we could put in some stone dust instead of the sand, that might hold a little better.
What about can't you just have a few stepping stones that kind of go down the line? You know, like, I'm picking old flagstones, but you know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
not
yeah.
big,
Just kind of notch them in a little
not
bit.
heavy on the hardscape.
Right. Yeah, we can come up with something like that. Just we'll show and leave enough pervious so that it'll drain and crown to the sides. Yeah, we could show that on a revised plan. I think that's very reasonable.
Angela,
Yeah, you pretty much answered my question. My issue was the using of the term rework the existing pathway. I wanted more clarification, which we've just done over this last conversation. So I'd rather see something specifically stated what you're doing there rather than rework. So if you can put stones down and something there, I just think we need something when you do the revised plan that's a little more clear on what kind of path you're doing. And I understand you're not doing hardscape, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
thanks, Angela. Pete,
Yeah, Dan, I mean, I would think that sand is going to wash with any kind of heavy precipitation because it's going almost straight down slope. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with the path. I would just sort of recommend, you know, something larger diameter than sand, but whatever you choose, I'm good with it. Thanks.
yeah. Bill,
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, sort of, I don't know what, 2 foot irregular blocks that the grass grows up between, and you could weed whack it or whatever to the extent that the thing becomes, you know, grassed in, but, you know, not
Yeah,
making it,
you know.
you know what I
No, I agree. And if you have somewhere for your feet to go on, that's really all you need. And
Right.
just have it clear on the edges so that it doesn't catch the Yeti, you know, when you're walking up and down. But yeah, no, I think that's very reasonable. My guys had done the sand. I raised my eyebrow a bit too. But if you're willing, you know, again, it's just one little natural path, and we'll crown it and sheet it so the water doesn't run down it. That's when you get
Yeah,
most of the
right,
trouble
yeah.
is when you create a trough. If you crown it and sheet it off to the sides occasionally, it shouldn't be a
Right.
problem at all.
Right.
right.
Something like stone dust would be better than sand, I think.
I agreed.
Yeah. Any other question from the commissioner? None. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. So then I will be looking for a revised plan showing the demarcations and the material for that path that as we discussed here. And then we'll probably do that end of report for 3 years. Is that fair?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve this project subject to receipt of a revised plan showing the demarcations for the mitigation area and the material for the path
So
that
moved.
discussed and the end of report for 3 years?
So moved.
Appreciate you guys working with me. I'll stop the sharing so we can get back to it. Thank you.
Anyone second?
Second. I heard second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kern,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Zampu,
Aye.
and Tangni, aye. That's 7.
Okay. Thank you. Good luck.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
The next NOI is Town of Barnstable, Department of Public Works. Routine maintenance, dredging of approximately 37,299 cubic yards of sediments in the west and north base channel in Ulsterville. Jimmy or Griff, is Griffin here or Jimmy? Jimmy.
I'm here. Yep, for the record, Jimmy Hill with both Infrastructure and Environment on behalf of the town. I'm joined by Maddie Goggin also. She helped with the permitting. Yeah, Griffin said he wouldn't be on tonight. So this is for the West Bay and North Bay Channel Maintenance Dredging Project. I will share my screen
Yes, please.
with the plans, okay?
Yep.
We see that. All right, great. So this is file number 0036364. This project is a standalone project from the 10-year comprehensive permit that we've been working on due to the silty sand. This is mixed grain sediment in here, so not suitable for beach nourishment. The Army Corps has determined that North Bay maintenance material is suitable for the Cape Cod Bay disposal site. So that's offshore unconfined disposal at the Cape Cod Bay disposal site. So it's 342,000 square feet of land under ocean impacts, and that's also shellfish suitability area mapped by MassGIS. And like you said, 37,299 cubic yards approximately. We have already been through the MEPA process, so we have a MEPA certificate. We got time of year restrictions and comments back from Mass DMF. So that's time of year restriction, no work between January 15th and June 30th. And we're currently also working on DEP 401 water quality certification, DEP Chapter 91 waterways dredging applications, Army Corps individual permits, CZM federal consistency, and then a heritage determination. And that's about all I have. If I have any questions, I'm ready.
Thank you. Like Jimmy said, we have received the DMF letter, the dated March the 2nd, and it mentioned about 4 conditions. Those are the time of the year restriction that Jimmy was mentioning that. So I'm not going to read that, and it's all in the file that will be part of the order conditions. Any question from the commissioner?
Yes.
John?
Oh, thank you. I was going to raise my hand now. I can lower it. Just to clarify, you've got a restriction from January to when, June, I think?
Correct.
So when are you going to do the dredging?
Between October and January.
Okay, after the general boating season, I assume then.
Yeah, that's correct. Typically, October 15th is like the cutoff. Harbor Master. After that, he says, we're kind of free to go.
Okay, and what was the depth requirement, the depth you're going to after dredge?
The West Bay inner entrance channel is dredged to 11 feet, mean low water, plus 1 foot of overdredge to -12. And then the North Bay Bay Street channel to -8, plus 1 foot of overdredge to -9, mean low water.
Yeah, and dredge spoils?
Cape Cod Bay disposal site.
So you de-water, move them?
You don't necessarily de-water now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
One thing I just want to mention, one of the conditions is all the planning and dredging activities should be performed in coordination with the town's shellfish constable and the local agriculture operators to minimize the impacts to nearby agricultural grants. So, Bill?
Yeah, the DMF also mentions the fine materials, and they said adoption of the most appropriate turbidity containment for these sites. And they say environmental bucket, silt curtain should be developed. I mean, what's the plan for dealing with the turbidity?
Yeah, and so that's usually through the water quality certification. They outline those conditions. For the last project that we did in the area, they did require an environmental bucket, so with closed mud flaps, and then turbidity curtain surrounding the dredge. And then through the Army Corps process, the Army Corps will approve said turbidity measures, and typically the moon pool around the area of dredging and advancing that moon pool as the dredge moves is the easiest way to do that, the cleanest way.
And you don't have those permits yet, but you will be getting that required.
Correct. Yep. We started with MEPA, the conservation, and we kind of, we throw them all out there and then start answering questions.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioner? Angela?
Just clarification, we are waiting for the National Heritage Letter and shellfish. We're waiting for those?
Yeah.
We are going to meet with the shellfish at the shellfish meeting. I think it's next week. It's the 11th, I want to say. We have not received a heritage determination for this yet. And I was wondering if it's because it's a totally open water project, and normally their determinations are kind of centered around a beach area. But I can reach back out to them and see.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarification on what you had and what we were waiting for. Thank you.
Well, I mean, Ed is not here. Typical, we want to wait until those comments to come in.
Tom, could you approve this, subject to any conditions to be imposed?
Yeah, we can. Okay.
That's what we have done in the past, this group, but
Right.
if you want me to come back.
I think we've done that in the past, as you said, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Especially with this kind of a maintenance dredging project that you've done multiple times.
Right. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
So Jimmy will be approving this project subject to receive any additional conditions from any additional comment from the NHSP and the shellfish and see whether there is anything to do with it. And then we need a bathymetric survey after 12 months of dredging projects.
So moved, Tom.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Kosciulik,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
Tangney, aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck, Jimmy.
Thank you all for your time. Have a good night.
The next one is Michael D. and Carrie A. Hauser to construct a pool, patio, and cabana at 140 Bay Lane, Centerville, as shown on Assessors Map 1X6, parcel 029-2001. John?
Yes, good evening. John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting, again representing the applicants. I will pull up the plan for you. As you stated, this project's located at 140 Bay Lane in Centerville. We have a little under an acre of land that's developed with a single-family dwelling that was built in the early 90s under an order of conditions. Portions of the property are inland subject to coastal storm flowage. We also have a bordering vegetated wetland located to the north of the property, and a pocket of a town of Barnstable only isolated wetland towards the east of the property. There is a existing undisturbed buffer, 50-foot buffer to the bordering vegetated wetland, which is going to remain. The project as proposed is to construct a pool and a cabana area. So again, that will respect the 50-foot buffer to the BVW. It also respects the 50-foot buffer to the town of Barnstable only isolated wetland. There are 3 trees within the buffer zone to that town of Barnstable only wetland, which we are requesting to remove. But then we will be restoring the 50-foot buffer in its entirety to that town of Barnstable only wetland. So at the end of the project, we will have undisturbed buffers to both the bordering vegetated wetland and the isolated wetland. Pretty standard protocols in this in terms of the limit of work, drainage, pool disinfection, etc. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Question from the commissioner. Bill?
Yeah, I noticed that the mitigation is only, well, it's less than 2,000 square feet. Mitigation would have been required 7,400 square feet. And you're operating following our ordinance. That is that if you maintain a 0 to 50 buffer, a totally intact buffer, that you don't have to mitigate beyond that. And yet what I'm seeing is a project that's, basically, wall-to-wall development in the 50 to 100. And I guess for our newer commissioners, I would suggest that, we could change that ordinance and have more protection of the 50 to 100 foot buffer. In this case, obviously, I think we're going to have to approve what we have here, but we're allowing the development of the 50 to 100. And, the science, and I don't have it here, but I reviewed it before and we've talked about it, I think maybe 3 years ago, where in fact a buffer that's about 68 feet is supposed to take up about pretty much 100% of sediment runoff. And you're going to have a lot of nutrient runoff taken up in that extra, 15, 20 feet. So it's not like we're creating as long as you preserve the 0 to 50, you're fine. I think that this business of building out the 50 to 100 is not a good idea. That's just my sense of that. And I really think that we as a commission could do better. But in this case, the ordinance is what it is, and I think we should change that. The only other comment I have on this particular project is why do we want to remove the 3 trees? What's the point of removing the 3 trees within this 0 to 50?
Again, there are 3 trees that are within the existing lawn. So they're not within an undisturbed area. They're not within the buffer to the bordering vegetated wetland. They're just in the town little pocket here, 1,000 square feet of low area. They're just overhanging the proposed pool area. And there's a this sort of backs up to a large, I think we had used GIS and figured we have about 50 acres of wooded buffer zones behind us, that we didn't think that would be overly detrimental to remove a couple trees from what's existing lawn.
Thank you, John. Pete?
Yeah, I would just second Bill's comments all around. I think it's something that we should visit as a commission, essentially allowing or abdicating any kind of control in the 50 to 100 with respect to nutrient and sediment remediation into our resources that we are supposed to protect. The science just doesn't support allowing everything up to that 50-foot line. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. John?
I remembered early discussions about the same issue. George Gilmore and Louise Foster making a comment that said, if we're not careful in the 50 to 100 and we impose restrictions, neither of them would have been able to build a home that they lived in. So, well, Bill and Pete may be right. It's worth looking at. I think we've got to be careful and judicious in that review. That's all.
Thank you, John.
If I could just respond to that, John, I think you're absolutely right. We have to be judicious. We have to think about it. And we have to, not box ourselves into something. But I do think that we ought to be judicious and work on something, because I just think that paving 50 to 100, as long as the 0 to 50 is good, it doesn't seem like a good idea. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing decks and patios and pools all getting squashed into that area. And
problem is, Bill, as you know, that a lot of these lots on Cape Cod that have existed, they're and I'm not talking in the very, very high end homes, but when I'm saying judicious, I know that when you look at some of these smaller lots, there's not much room to build a home except in the 50 to 100. So again, we're probably talking way prematurely from having a discussion down the road on that, Bill. So that's all. I'm just saying this. My famous word, there's some balance somewhere.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I know.
Again, we're talking pools and patios and decks and stuff. I mean, a house is another thing. And if you've already got the house and it's there, good. You've got your house. Anyway, we'll talk later about that, I hope.
Got it.
Thank you. Angela?
Yeah, for the sake of a discussion in the future, I agree with Pete and Bill, but for tonight's purposes, John, we're right. We're going to move this ahead the way that it's planned because it does fit with our regs.
Right.
Way to go, Angela.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
10:18, any public comment? This one.
Seeing none.
So John, I'll be looking for the annual report for 3 years for the mitigation area planting stuff. Could I have a motion to approve this project as submitted with the annual report for 3 years?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's 7.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Good night. The next one is Rebecca Edison's and Madero's replacement of a shed, retaining wall access steps leading down to shorelines, and replacement of a deck with new stairwell, all within existing footprints at 749 Centuet Newton Road, Marston's Mill, as shown on the Assessors Map 2028, parcel 009. Justin?
It's actually Matt.
Oh,
Good evening.
Matt.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Commissioner Abadili, do you have your hand up? I'm just wondering if that's intentional.
No, I'm
No.
sorry.
That's from last one.
Gotcha.
Got
No
it.
problem. Perfect. All right. So the project proposed before you, I'm Matt Lehman, and my colleague Sarah Morner, I think, is online as well, representing Edson Medeiros. The proposed project is within the jurisdictional buffer, the 0 to 50. Can I share my screen, actually?
Yes, please.
Yeah. There we go.
Coming.
See?
Yep.
There you go. Okay, I'll zoom in. There you go. So it's essentially a maintenance project. There's a series of walls. Long Pond is here. There's a series of walls, and there's 2 sets of steps. One, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yep, one right here, one right here. And there's also a existing deck here that has a bunch of debris and wood and stuff underneath it that's going to be removed. Let's see what else. Also invasive species control and vista pruning was proposed in this area, but I've been told that a lot of the vista pruning that was going to be requested was taken care of by the blizzard. So the project, you can just cross that off, and it's just going to be invasive species control. So we're replacing the wall, the stairs in kind, and the shed right here. We're trying to do everything, right where it is, just redoing it for slope stability. And finally, dry wells are being proposed to connect to the roof runoff so that less runoff will go down the slope. Let's see, hopefully I got it all. Yep, I believe that is all. If anyone has questions, I'll make it bigger now.
Thank you, Matt. Bill?
Yeah, I'm good with the project with one exception. And that is the little shed in the front, which is practically sitting on the lake.
Right
And
here.
it looked like kind of a little dilapidated shed. And I wondered, is there a way of putting that elsewhere? It looks like a shed for storing kayaks in the winter, perhaps. I'm not sure what that's for, but
I'm not sure either, but I don't see why we couldn't move it a little farther up the slope. Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
how far up would you be able to put it, do you think?
Well, assuming that it is storing, boats and stuff, you don't want it to be too far away from the water. But I see like the 52, 54, 56 contour, perhaps 54 contour up here. You could snug it into the hill a little bit.
Okay.
That could be better than where it is, I think.
Yeah.
It'd be real easy to do. Yeah, just put it like kind of, I don't know, here.
Okay.
It's in the setback right there, though.
Oh, correct. You're right. You're right. So it actually really should be, that's a good point. We didn't see that. Kind of there, ideally, actually. Or maybe even there.
There's another shed that's up in the front. You've got an 80 square foot shed, the same size there. Is there a reason not to have a couple of them right there? And
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I can certainly look into the purpose of the sheds. I personally haven't been on site. I drafted the drawing, but my associates, my colleagues, Sarah, are you on? Let's see, she is on.
Yeah, I'm on. Sorry
Hi.
about that. Hi.
Have you been to the site?
I haven't. I just saw the photos. It was John that was at the site.
Do you have any idea what these sheds are for?
I think with the slope, it is more of a storage area for, lake activities, just for the ease of it. If having like to bring things up the steps there might be a little difficult, but again, I haven't been there personally, so.
I can certainly look into the purpose and whether it needs to be that close.
Okay. John?
Thank you. Yeah, you have a legal right to replace that. It's a pre-existing, and you have a legal right to replace it. Whereas, as is, I would agree with Bill. If you can push it back, that would be desirable.
If we could get it like right here,
I would
maybe.
also emphasize, however, that the critical issue to me is the use of that shed.
Right. What
is it used for now? What is it intended to be used for? If all of a sudden you're going to be storing gasoline in it, for example, I would definitely have trouble with that. So
Sure.
My question goes more to use and making sure that whatever goes back there is no bigger, larger, no changes,
Use, yeah.
in outdoor lighting and spotlights or whatever relative to what exists now.
Correct.
You got a legal right to replace what exists, but not expand its use or its structure.
And can I follow that up, John? He has a legal right just to leave it alone because it wasn't part of this application. He has the right to just leave it as is, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure that option was there too.
That option is there, Angela. He could leave it as
that option is there. The only thing that I'm thinking of, since John is mentioning about the gasoline storage, that should not be in this shed, that we can condition.
Okay.
Is that right, John?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's gasoline and other. Well, I guess Pete or Bill can have me, but those kind. If they're storing a little boat in it, or storing life vests in it, or some chairs in it, that's one thing.
Right.
They're benign, but obviously, if you decide all of a sudden we're storing gasoline in it, we're storing whatever, that could be an environmental issue that could, in fact, push this over the edge of our responsibility, which is to make sure that a project does not, in fact, have a negative impact on the environment. That's
Understood.
Right.
Yep. Can we just add a note to the plan?
Yeah. Well, I can put that as a condition too. So.
Or that. Yep.
Yeah. Any other question from the commissioner? Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project as submitted with the condition that no gasoline storage or diesel storage in the storage shed?
Tom, could you actually say no petroleum products?
No petroleum products as amended.
Good suggestion, Peter, in my opinion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
And put your hand down, thank you. DeMello.
I gotta learn this. Sorry.
That's all right. I just want to make sure everybody is seen and gets to talk. DeMello.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Matt.
Thank you, board. Have a good night.
Yep. The next NOI is Anthony Elio, trustee, Co-Taxes Realty Trust. Proposed construction of a single-family dwelling and garage at 294 Eel River Road, Australia, as shown on the Census Map 115, Parcel 026. Ed Pesci.
Yes, hello, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Good evening. I'm Ed Pesci of Pesci Engineering, representing Anthony Elio of Cottachesset Realty Trust. And with me tonight is also his attorney for the project, Rob Brennan. This is fairly straightforward. I've had some discussions with staff about this. I'm now showing, of course, the site plan with a isolated vegetated wetland, basically a small depression on the site. It's been there for years. We're planning to respect the 0 to 1 to 50-foot boundary, no touch, no disturb boundary. I'm kind of glad we're having this discussion tonight based on the discussions you've already had tonight regarding that part of the bylaw. The intention is to provide a 3-bedroom house and a garage forward in the 50 to 100-foot buffer, obviously, the majority of it in that area. The project also provides a Title V septic system and some dry wells for roof drains. Majority of the house up above next to the 50-foot buffer, the intention there is the owner just wants it to go to natural from the house to the 50-foot buffer, which will be established with a work limit line, a hay bale silt fence line. He doesn't plan to irrigate, provide irrigation there. He wants it to just return to natural. The screened in porch, as you see on this plan, and the small porch next to the master bedroom is for them to enjoy the outdoors. That way they kind of want to be facing the woods. It's kind of, if you've been to the site, you'll see that the corners that are staked out are outside the edge of the tree line. They really just want to be able to face the wood line and enjoy the outdoors that way rather than be outside. There's really no other room outside other than in the front of the site. But be that as it may, the site favors this location of the footprint of the building in the garage, and really subject to your questions, that's all I wanted to go over.
Thank you, Ed. Just say the plan that you're seeing on the screen is a revised plan dated March the 2nd. Kim sent out this afternoon about this revised plans. Questions from the commissioner, Bill?
Here I go again. You know, this is a great project to follow up on our previous discussion. I said that when you end up having these houses that are then building their pools and their patios and their decks, that's the thing that I wonder about, you know, whether we're just slashing and burning the 50. But here's a house. And if we were to impose in some new ordinance that, no, you can't be working in the 50 to 100, or you got to mitigate heavily for it, you know, this would be unbuildable. And the person who owns that would then suffer rather significant loss. And so this is a situation where, you know, I would think this is an acceptable project because you're creating a new house. And so I would be good with this because you don't have a lot of the extra trappings, if you will. So I'm good with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
Could I have a motion to approve this project with the revised plan dates March the 2nd?
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Ed.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep. The last NOI is Stephen and Bernice Taxana to add a seasonal dock and stairway replacement at 1017 West Main Street, Centerville, as shown on Assessors Map 229, Parcel 060. Roy?
Good evening, Commission. First of all, I'd like to apologize for missing the last meeting for this filing. I was stuck on a plane and probably wasted your time waiting for it, but I'm here now. We replied. What I'm proposing is a mirror of the project that was permitted next door to the west at 1031 on a lesser scale. It's the exact same dock that was approved, going out the exact same distance. We've done our measurements out there to see where the dock would be basically high enough in the low water picture on the screen. We're also want to replace the existing timber stairs going down. There's two sets of stairs. One of them's in the 50-foot buffer existing. One of them's in the 50 and the 100. The owner is an elderly man. He's basically told us that the yard has been in this condition for a very long time and landscaped. You will see one note on the plan that is incorrect. It says vegetation management activities to occur between the BVW and that, and there is none. We just did this one at the same time we did the other plan. So if you look at the wetlands report, there is no activity. Can you hold 1 sec? I just got to plug in my charger.
Okay.
10 seconds.
While we're waiting for Roy, I just want to mention that we had a comment letter from the divisions of Fish and Wildlife, and basically it mentioned about the under the MISA, the division has determined that this project currently proposed will not result a prohibited tick of the state listed rare species. That's the comments.
Okay.
Roy, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. So, the application is very thorough if you have time to go through it. It's very similar to the one recently approved. And I can answer any questions at this time.
So, Roy, if you are not doing any vegetation, as you mentioned, that label should be removed and submit as a revised plan.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. I just wanted to make sure that if there was any other changes, we caught them on this revision.
Okay, thank you. Any question from the commissioner? Seeing none. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project subject to receipt of a revised plan removing the label for the vegetations for this project?
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Bishulik.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
We have one amended orders of conditions, William J.P. and Krista C. Murphy, to amend the existing order of conditions to approve a larger 3-bedroom single-family dwelling and add an attached garage, pool, patio, retaining walls, and 3-foot path with stepping stones and associated appurtenances at 104 Wild Goose Way, Centerville, as shown on the Assessor's Map 167, parcel 048. Dan?
Good evening, Chairman Lee, members of the commission. Dan Ojala from Down Cape Engineering. I'll share my screen so you can see what we're doing here. This is a plan which was approved some years ago. Captain Murphy's been in the Navy in the service of our country, and so he hasn't been able to build the house. But finally, he's fully retired and back, and is now wants to build it. So we're requesting to amend the 3-bedroom house to be a little bit bigger, and we pushed it a bit towards the wetland. We're still retaining, I think it's a full 60-foot undisturbed buffer, which is pretty generous. And then you can see there's other, a good quadrant of that is undisturbed too. So a nice buffer. There's a BVW, there's a state bank at the flood zone. It does jump up a little bit to be less than 25 here, where we had decided, as with the last one, because there's a bordering vegetated wetland, and it's not directly adjacent, the tidal waters, that it's not a local bank, so that jurisdiction is the same as it was before. We did receive a variance from that state bank on the Board of Health, which is still valid for the septic systems. There's been no changes to the septic. That's way up near the road as far as it can possibly be. We did introduce the world's smallest swimming pool. It's just a little plunge pool, but that's going to be in a small patio in the backyard. We've got nice big dry wells all the way around the house, and we've created a nice tiered retaining wall system to stabilize this, the slope and to minimize the runoff on the property. So we think it's a nice improvement. Again, roof drain to dry wells. There's a nice big highway drain on the driveway to keep the water off the bank, and some nice tiered walls to break down the flow and to infiltrate everything on site. And you've got a full 60-foot buffer. We've got a little 3-foot path. We did similar to the last one. I think this one will be acceptable because we did say to put some stone steppers where necessary due to the slope, and just a 3-foot wide down to the resource area so they can go down and enjoy the wildlife. That would be all I have. Again, it's already approved as a 3-bedroom. It's just a little bit change of footprint. We're maintaining a full 60-foot work limit, and not too much hardscape even within the 100. You can see most of the house is outside of that. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any question from the commissioner? Oh, before I forget, I just see Ed's in the meeting.
Yeah, he just arrived. Yep.
Right. So.
Not here. Thank you.
Got it.
Any question from the commissioner?
I do.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I remember this project. I want to say it was 2023. And the first time in 2023, I remember thinking this development, this house was going to be right on a very steep hill, and I visited it. And you can see the contours. This is a really long, steep hill. And on it, it shows that the gradient is 33%, 32%, 24% where the pool is. It's a really steep hill. And basically the house is built, the edge of the house is right along the top of the state bank. And at the time we were talking about, well, you know, there's a salt marsh down there, it's heavily vegetated, you know, the bank should be okay. And now we're basically building out onto the very steep hillside and putting in these retaining walls. And I don't feel comfortable with that. I was thinking, you know, with rising sea levels, you know, and potential, you know, storms that could come in, I just feel like building on such a steep hill with this, you know, I have no problem with the house. We've already approved a house that's sitting right on the top of the state bank, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. I feel like we're potentially going to, you know, set a precedent here relative to building right on these steep banks, which ultimately it might take 50 years, it might take 70 years, but you know, 70, 50 years, they go by pretty fast. Next thing you know, that house is going to be on a potentially, you know, more unstable hillside. So I have a concern about that.
Thanks, Bill. Angela.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Bill. I remember this. It was when I first became a commissioner. And so my first question was gonna be, this is a big ask. I felt like it was a big ask, and I'm still not sure I understand the answer, that you're coming back to ask for more because time went by and this man didn't do anything with what we approved 3 years ago, and now he wants more than what was approved. Is that what you're saying?
So what I would say is that, you know, he took a look at the site, and, you know, for his kids, grandkids to have a little bit of room in the backyard, they really took a hard look at it and thought that rather than have a sharply pitched backyard, if we could, you know, do a walk out of the house, so you have, you know, the 10-foot or so drop you take out with the house, and just level a little area there for, you know, it's only about 25 feet or so, where you'd have a pool, and then we step down and then go out a little bit and step down again, and then you hit natural grade. It's not you know, it's very similar to the neighbor has to the north, very similar situation. You can see their pool there with a great big slope. I think we redid that retaining wall not too many years ago. And it's right in line with the abutter to the north and to the south. And, sea level rise is, it's been an inch a decade since the 30s. Now they say maybe it's an inch and a half every 10 years, but, we're sitting, 30 feet above sea level with the toe of this wall. To get a way up in here in this area where it's still water flooding and to have any concerns, it's going to be the useful use of this house plus. I really would not see a big concern there.
And the abutters have a double retaining wall?
It's varies. So the neighbors to the south have a pretty sharp slope down driveway and a big wall between us and them. The ones to the north have a large single retaining wall rather than a double. So it's a similar height, but they didn't utilize the tiered method, which it just breaks it up and looks a little better, I think. There's more than one way to skin a cat, obviously, but this one was looking at it's a little bit hard to.
Again, I'm just going to tell you, I feel the same way Bill does. This is a huge ask, especially the double retaining wall back there in that bank. But thank you for your answer.
Yeah, well, again, we just approved one on a lot right up to the 50-foot buffer. Again, this is a little bit steeper than that one, but not a whole lot.
But approving one and coming back as an amended order are two different things, and that is my point to start with. That this, Dan, is a big ask when we spent time 3 years ago approving the NOI. I just want to make that clear moving forward. That's all.
Okay. All right. But with the tiered wall, is the top of wall is 35 and then 37 and a half, up from about 30. So it's a 5-foot wall and then a 4-foot wall. It's or 2.5-foot wall. It's not gigantic, and I think it'll blend in there nicely. And we could even tighten up that wall if you want to go to we get 61 to the work limit now. We could probably go 68 feet and still get this to work. You'd have almost a 70-foot undisturbed buffer at that point.
Right. I'm not an engineer, but even your pool equipment has to be down in there between the walls right there in the bank. I mean, it just seems to me that this could be engineered better and be less of an ask. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, well, that just hides it over the edge, and it's a nice little flat area that wasn't being used. That's the only reason we put it there. But okay.
What happened if you pull the pool equipment to the top retaining wall area and kind of reducing the lower level? Is that a possible thing or not?
Yes, we absolutely could do that, but then again, it's these folks have owned the lot forever. We've got a letter of support from the abutters. It's very similar to the abutters, and we could do that. I think it would be a lot more. We could certainly take a look at moving that pool equipment further from the wetland, though. There's no question. We could put it up by the garage and hide it up there.
Okay. Any other question from the commissioner?
I'd like to make a point that the neighbor to the north, if he were to reduce the scale of his plan there, you can see that other pool is not on such a steep hill. Just can you back that down? Yeah, look at that. Look at the contour lines on that. That's not sitting right on the hill like this other thing is.
No, it 100% is. That those are 1-foot contours there.
Yeah, but right below it, you're building on that contour.
Well, no, this is a big rock wall here. That's what those contours are. It's not clearly shown, but that's all filled with a big rock wall, and the pool goes right to the wall. It's a different design here. We're using vertical walls, and it's a little bit, but again, I don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, this gentleman is served our country. He cares about the environment. He's finally looking to build this and just wanted to make some adjustments to the backyard. You typically will allow similar things. If you like, I could tighten up that lower wall 2 feet closer to the upper wall, and it would give and then move the work limit line at least 5 feet more, so you have a 67-foot undisturbed buffer. Would that be acceptable?
And move the equipment as Tom suggested.
Sure.
I'd I'd personally want you not to have a pool behind the house. You are expanding the house. You are adding a garage to the house. I'm okay with that, but coming down onto the hill with that pool, I just don't see it myself.
It's, do recall though, it's basically a hot tub. I mean, it's 8 by 12. It's a tiny little thing, you know, I think they call them a plunge pool. It's not a big pool for what that's worth.
Any other questions? 10:18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. So Dan, what would you like us to do to vote on this, or do you want to submit a revised plans to show that you are tightened up on this on the first level, the retaining wall, and remove the pool equipment?
Well, those could be, if you wanted to have the vote, those would be conditions, would they not? I mean, subject to the submitted revised plan showing those changes.
Right.
That would be the most efficient use of all of our time. If that's acceptable to the majority, I would really appreciate that.
What was, did you say without the pool? Did I hear that?
So what I would do would be move the pool equipment up behind the garage, tighten up the wall 2 feet and have a 67-foot undisturbed buffer rather than 61. Those were the 3 things. But I mean, it's only a little 8 by 12 pool. It's basically a hot tub. Hopefully that would be okay. I mean, it is, you know, it's
Bill, that's 17 feet more than you require like all the time.
Yeah, that's.
I'm good with 67 feet.
It's about a hillside. I mean, this is a steep hill.
That doesn't matter. He's got a wall. He's got a wall there to catch it.
Yeah. So let me try this stuff.
See how it goes. I mean,
yeah. Could I have a motion approve this project subject to receipt of a revised plan to relocate the pool equipment further up to the garage area, and then tighten up the lower retaining walls to provide the buffer distance of like 67 feet.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Hearn.
No.
Lee.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Sampu.
No.
And Tangney. I'm going to say aye with those changes, so this passes 4-2.
all right. I really appreciate, and the Murphys
That's
really
five
appreciate
to two.
5-2.
5-2, Angela.
5-2. Thank you.
You were a science teacher, not math, huh?
Well, we really appreciate it. I'll get that revised plan right in. Thank you.
Okay. And then the last one is the remand notice of intent to remand NOI applications SC3-6059 Stephen M. and Beth F. McFarland constructions of permanent pile support dinghy docks with end platforms and kayak racks at 150 Carriage Road, Austinville, as shown on the Assessors Map 071 Parcel 015-003. Arlene?
Good evening. Arlene Wilson, AM Wilson Associates, here for the McFarlands, along with attorney Brian Wall. This project is before you on a remand from the appeals court through the Superior Court. The plan that you originally saw has not changed, although I know several of the commissioners were not involved in the original review of this. So just quickly, and let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
See if we can make this go in the right direction. Oh dear. Nope.
We're seeing your screen now.
Right. There we go. So This is the plan for the site. Site is on the east side of Oyster Harbors. The proposal is for a pile-supported pier. The pier is in an area mapped as 6 for shellfishing, which means that it would need 30 inches under the deepest part of a boat were there to be a motor on that boat, since the maximum depth of water at the end of the pier is about 32 inches. Clearly having a motorboat is not possible. So this is proposed as a dinghy dock. There's a kayak rack here. The McParlands probably will have a small sailboat that they'll dock on the north side of the pier. The pier is 136 feet in length overall from the corner of the existing bulkhead. It is 81 feet beyond mean low water, which meets the Commission's design requirements. Instead of having a float at the end, because there was some concern originally about the proliferation of tunniquets that might grow on a float here, we've proposed a platform at the end with a set of seasonal stairs. So the stairs would probably be pulled up onto the platform in the off season. There's about 15.25 feet between the bents on this pier to facilitate anybody who wanted to shellfish or fish along the existing or along the proposed pier. The design meets all of the requirements of the Commission's Regulation 703-4, except for subsection L. That's the section that requires the pier to be centered on the lot. It is slightly off-centered because the access from the edge of the lawn at the corner of the existing bulkhead was an easier design than putting it in the middle. But the Commission's requirement for that centering of the pier is to ensure that there would be sufficient distance between a pier on a particular site and piers on the abutting sites. Here, both the north and the south properties have piers already. You can see the distance between the proposed pier on the McParland property and the pier to the south is 146 feet, and to the pier on the north is 142 feet. So that is significantly in excess of the minimums that are set by the Commission's requirements. Originally, the Commission approved the pier under 13140 and denied it under the town bylaw because they felt that it would reduce access for shellfish harvesting. As I think you are aware, the decision of the appeals court included finding essentially that because of the height and narrowness of the pier, it was perfectly possible to continue shellfishing with the pier in place, and included in the application is a picture of the gentleman shellfishing at the pier to the south. So you can see that that's actually easy to do. And as I think you are all aware, there is no significant pedestrian access along the shore in Oyster Harbors. So everything has to happen by boat. There was also a finding that there would be a significant adverse habitat impact due to bottom usurpation from the piles. We've looked at the shoreline, and I hope I don't make anybody dizzy. If we looked at a half a mile distance along the shore with the site centered in the middle, there are 15 lots total. Of the 15 lots, 14 already have piers. The McParland's property is the only one that does not. And the piles would take up about 1% of the shore frontage on the McParland site. So we believe that 1% in this area is not actually significant. And I'll talk about the shellfish in there in a minute. There was also a concern about scour because the town shellfish officer suggested that we were going to use ice eaters here. We are not. So the scour issue, we believe, was a red herring. And again, we talked about the potential for exotic species proliferation. The appellate decision suggests that that was not an appropriate concern for this location. But even so, we've looked at what's happening with the piles with the pier to the north and the one to the south. The shellfish reports are here in the submission, both the original report by ERC and an updated report that was done by Paul Caruso. They both show that there's no proliferation of invasive tunicates in this area. Paul Caruso's report cites the fact that there are rather a lot of I'm sorry, I'm brain dead here. Let's see. In any event, he found that there were a few native sea squirts that were growing, but not invasives. No carpet tunicates, which are the problem for shellfish, even though he did find that there was a problem with Graciela in the area where the boats would be docked and where the boats are docked adjacent. That's an entirely different problem than the one that the commission found initially. The court decision found that the appropriate standard of review here was whether the pier would have unacceptable, significant, or cumulative impacts on resource values, not whether the impacts would be greater than those of a seasonal pier, and pointed out that the commission's bylaw and regulations do not prohibit seasonal piers, permanent piers. They do say that if any pier, seasonal or permanent, meets the design criteria that are set forth in subsection 4 of the regulations, that the assumption is that the impacts are acceptable. Based on both the ERC shellfish report and the Crusoe report, the displacement of shellfish from this pier would be expected to be about 1.5 animals. In terms of turbidity impacts, again, this applicant cannot have a motorboat under your regulations. On the other hand, people who shellfish in this area come in by motorboat, and there is no prohibition on depth of water under those boats when they're shellfishing. So the pier itself and the use of the pier by the applicant will not have significant turbidity issues. As I said, we have looked at potential cumulative impacts since this is the only lot within a 1/2 mile of shoreline that does not have a pier now. And all of the piers that exist seem to be permanent pile-supported piers, most of which were developed prior to your regulations. And so they're longer than the current regulations would allow, although this pier would meet your regulations. We believe that there can be no significant cumulative impacts here. And Brian and I would be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Arlene. Couple of things I just want to mention, that the design plan is dated January 17, 2023, because that was at the time the NOI was filed at that time. And then secondly, this is a permanent pier for a non-motorized vessels. So I just want to make sure that it mentioned all the posts are kind of a 12-inch post with a greater distance between the posts to reduce the area being affected for the shellfish area. Questions, John?
Just a comment, Arlene, your comment about that shellfish may come in by boat, that can create turbidity, and that's not regulated, is irrelevant to us since we have no jurisdiction over that. Just for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. Ed, do you have any comment?
Yes, Arlene, I was thinking, did you send this back to Waterways? I think you said you did.
Sorry, Ed, you're breaking up.
Ed, sorry. Have you submitted this to the Waterway for comment?
Yes, we have. It would have been on their meeting of last week, but their next meeting is not until the 24th of March, apparently. When this project was reviewed initially, the Waterways Committee signed off on it as having no comment. So since there's been no change in the design, I would imagine they would not have any problem with it again.
I mean, I would tend to agree. I don't know. I'd leave it up to the commission as to whether or not they want to wait for that final determination or not. I mean, I tend to agree that if they didn't have an issue with it the first time, they probably aren't going to have an issue with it again. Because it has been submitted, so.
Right.
Do you need public comment on this, Tom?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
So I don't think that the waterway would have any additional comment on this one because the layout has not changed from the first time. And then the only condition that I'm thinking of is, you know, if somehow they change their mind and want to apply for the motorized boat, they have to come back. That's I think you understand that. And then also when you're trying to construct this, you need to coordinate it with a natural resource so that they know that you're going in, and if there's any issues about the shellfish, they can coordinate that with you. Is that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Tom, I believe the sign that she has to post says non-motorized craft only. Isn't that right, Ed? Isn't that standard?
Yeah,
Yes,
that-
for non-motorized, yes,
Yeah.
I will say that. But I think in the future, if somehow they want to change their mind and apply for the motor, they need to come back. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
obviously, yeah, of course. Right, great.
Yeah. So with those conditions, could I have a motion to approve this project?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
No.
and Tangney, aye. So that's 6-1, it passes.
Thank you. Good luck, Arlene.
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Yep.
members of the commission. Have a pleasant evening.
Yep, you too. We have two sets of minutes, February the 10th and February the 17th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from February the 10th and February the 17th.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's unanimous. The minutes have been accepted.
The next hearing is March the 17th at 3 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair, and it's 7:57.